All right, back here on CBS Sports HQ, and there's a lot of football to go, but we are looking at the current NFC playoff picture. And if the season ended today, right now, the Lions, who are sitting at 6-1, they are in that top spot, getting the bye. Then we have the division leaders, of course, Washington. We already discussed a team that we didn't think was going to be here at all, but currently in that number 2 spot.
Incredible.
Incredible. Then we have Atlanta, Arizona, then the wild card spots with Green Bay, Minnesota, and Philly as the last team in. So let's discuss the NFC playoff picture with Pete Prisco and Logan Ryan. And gentlemen, we're going to start with the Commanders, because what Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn is doing is just incredible. They just keep finding ways to win. And last night, that was via a really sick Hail Mary touchdown against the Bears. Logan, just how impressed are you with what we've seen from the Commanders, from Jaden Daniels, from Dan Quinn up until this point?
I mean, this is the most surprising positive story in the NFL. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders had that win last night. It's been such an antidote of what their team is. Magical, honestly. And this is the best team in the NFC East. I think the Eagles have some dysfunction. I think the Commanders know exactly who they need, who they have, what they want to do, how they do it week in and week out. The question is this team comfortable being the front runner in the NFC East now? A lot of players on that team are not used to winning. They're not used to expectations and the standards of what that takes week in and week out. So now they're not surprising anybody. They're the league Cinderella, and now they got to play with everyone looking up at them in that division. Can they handle that pressure that comes with it?
Yeah, we know in experience and being there before, it's useful. Let's talk about the first team that is out as of right now, and that is, of course, the Chicago Bears after that loss to Washington. And Pete, this is a team that you have been saying is ready for the playoffs, but next year.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that. Look, they had a bunch of major mistakes in that game at the end of it, and coaching mistakes, bad coaching mistakes. Matt Eberflus should be embarrassed about what happened on the Hail Mary. He had 3 timeouts, didn't call one of them. The play before that, he let him hit a shot into the middle of the field to get the yardage needed to throw the Hail Mary. And then C, they didn't have their best rushers on the field, and they also spied the quarterback when he's 60 yards away. Bad situational football. Tyreek Stevenson taunting the crowd, even worse. That's a reflection of the coach. He's 3-17 on the road in his career. And you look at their schedule, it is brutal coming up. At Arizona, New England's kind of an easier game. Versus Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, and at San Francisco. Good luck with that on the next year.
Yeah, and Tyreek Stevenson apologizing on X for doing that and saying, a lot of work is going to be done. But as of right now, as mentioned, the Lions, they are the top seed in the NFC. They had 7 touchdowns in that game against the Titans with 6 different guys finding ways to score. Logan, do you expect this sort of dominance to continue for Detroit?
I do, absolutely. Absolutely. They're the best team in the NFC, hands down. What they're doing on offense, Ben Johnson is going to pick any single job he wants when his season's over. He is the best offensive coordinator by far, the way they're able to dial it up. Jared Goff didn't have to do just as many touchdowns.
Getting a look at the odds to win the NFC, we see it there. The Lions sitting at 6-1. They are the favorites right now at +320. Logan was mentioning Ben Johnson, who, by the way, was poached from a lot of other teams to be a head coach for this upcoming season, and he decided to stay there in Detroit. Pete, let's talk about the Packers, because this is a team that you have been very high on since the offseason. They're at +700 right now to win the NFC. Also sitting at 6-2. We saw Jordan Love, who was injured in that win in Jacksonville. How much are those expectations for Green Bay dependent on Jordan Love being healthy?
Oh, I think they're 100% dependent on him being healthy. And look, he can miss a game or two. It wouldn't be very good this week. They do play the Lions in a big division game. But Malik Willis can go in there and they can scheme it up around him. He's been very good when he's played, but you want Jordan Love in there. And if this is going to be a Super Bowl type of team, Jordan Love has to be the quarterback. They also suffered an injury to Jair Alexander late in the game on Sunday, and we saw what happens to their defense when he's not on the field. So those are 2 injuries injuries to keep an eye on this week and going forward. Without Jordan Love, not nearly the same offense, and without Jair Alexander, they're definitely not the same defense.
And, you know, speaking of injuries, the Niners are certainly a team that has been hit really, really hard with the injury bug. We talked about it earlier on the show. Brandon Ayuk being out for the season. They're still waiting on Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle looked great, but he was a little bit banged up in the weeks prior. That division is very, very crowded. You have the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks all sitting there at 500, but the Niners are still in it, Logan, despite all of those injuries that we've been discussing. But how sustainable is this for San Francisco, in your opinion?
Oh, it's extremely sustainable. That win last night over Dallas couldn't come at a better time. Going to the bye week 4-4, the entire division's at 4 wins. And, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is going to be coming back after this bye week. So that is so huge for them to finally have an extra week to get healthy, bring CMC, the Offensive Player of the Year, back, right? Make some plays on defense, look formidable. And now this division is wide open. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan is telling them, hey, scratch the first part of the season. That's not who we are. We have a fresh slate at this. Now we got to go. The Rams and the Niners are coming. To me, that's who this division is going to come down to. They're getting healthier. And now that the Niners have a bye week at this perfect time, Colin Shanahan and them are going to be licking their chops to get Christian McCaffrey back. All
right, when we look at the in the hunt graphic, you have to go way far down before you see the Cowboys in there. They would miss the playoffs if the season ended today. They're sitting at 3-4. And Pete, this is a fan base that is just dying for an NFC Championship appearance, much less a Super Bowl appearance. But is it too late for this team, based off what you've seen in this 8-week sample size, to turn things around?
Yeah, and they have 4 games before they play the Giants on Thanksgiving, and I think by the time they get to Thanksgiving, they're going to be cooked more than your turkey. I mean, when you really look at it, they play at Atlanta versus the Eagles, at Washington, and against the Texans at home. I mean, that schedule is brutal. They are done. Is there anything when you watch them that you come away, other than the connection of Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb, where you say, you know what, that's a good football team. They don't run the ball at all. They don't have a second weapon at all. They don't stop the run, and they offer any resistance, and because they can't stop the run, they're not great rushing the passer, so they have to blitz. This is not a good football team right now, and I will be astounded if they turn this thing around before Thanksgiving.
All right, so Pete says the Cowboys are going to be cooked more than your turkey before Thanksgiving. Pete, Logan Ryan, we certainly appreciate it talking about the NFC Playoff Picture. Always good to see you guys. And make sure you stay locked into CBS Sports HQ. We have everything you need, news, highlights, scores. It is all here, all football season long, right here on HQ.